Hi all, Hipper here. Now, those of you who follow this channel know that I am a little bit obsessed with stats, and there's never been a good way of getting stats in this game, and especially not stats per ship. The only thing you can see is your most played ship, and it's only like a tiny little bit of stats you can actually see. And another thing I've been very interested in is the difference between solo and division play. And finally, I can now do this, and I'll show you here how to do it. Okay, so I'll just show you quickly how to actually do this here. And you do it by simply going to wowslegends.com and then to account settings, and you click data protection under that category. In there, you have the option to get a data export. Of course, I already did mine, so you can see that I can't obviously do it again, and mine is already ready. So I'll be able to download it using this link here. So when I actually download that link, what I get is a bunch of Excel files in zip file. And if we start with one of them here, this is the battle type statistics. And what you should notice here is the type of battle. Now, I did a little bit of detective work, and I have figured out what they mean. I'm fairly certain of 1 to 6, and the last 3 I'm not really that sure about, but don't really care at the moment. So type 1 equals standard, and that's what you see when you log in and look at your standard battle stats. Type 2 is AI, and it's both solo and division. Type 3 is the very interesting one here. That is standard battles solo. Very interesting, that one. And 4 is standard division battles with 2 players. And 5, I don't have one. That is standard division with 3 players. That means I've never played a division battle with 3 players in standard. So yeah, now you know that. So as you can see, we have the cumulative statistics here for each game type. And like I have checked with the stats in game, and I have 218 AI battles. That's correct. And this is also correct, and everything matches. So I'm fairly certain that this is the overview. So for me, this row is the most interesting one because I really only care about how I do solo. I don't really care about the other stuff. So if we're going to drill down a little bit further, there's a different Excel sheet included that's called ship statistics by type. And this is the very interesting one here. So like I said before, I only really care about type 3, which is the standard solo. So I'm going to pick that one. And then each line is pretty much just a ship. And each ship has its stats out here for you to see and play around with, which I have done a lot. And you can see there's a lot of information here. Like there's like the usual, how many battles and your experience, and like I still have to figure out a little bit about what the difference is between original experience and experience. I think this is the absolute base experience, but I'm not sure. And this one, I'm not sure what that is because it's very high. If you split it out per battle, it's nearly 6,000, something like that, while this one is between 1,800 and 2,000. So that seems more like actual base XP. But anyway, there's a lot of stuff in here. There's even how many shots you fired. And of course, by using that, you can also see how much damage you've done per shot and other nifty stuff like that. And lots of spot and scout damage and yada yada yada, lots of stuff. There's a lot of things to dig into. And of course, you can like filter per ship should you want to do that. But like Excel is not really that good for this stuff here in it. So I have actually popped it into Power BI here, which is much better. And everything on this side here, including average damage, I have calculated from the facts that are in the spreadsheet provided by Wargaming. So we'll look into that later. And I've also figured out that in each ship name, the fourth letter denotes if it's a B for battleship, like a C for cruiser, or a D for destroyer. So I pretty much just sub-stringed that in here so I can filter on if I just want to look at cruisers, which is pretty much the only thing I'm really interested in. And if we go up here and say, let's see which cruiser has the highest average base XP, you can see that in here. Of course, you have to do a little bit of pre-work for this. It's not automatic. And if we look at win rates, we'll also have a good look here. And like you have a lot of 100% and yada, 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 and that's like not really what we want. So we'll just say that we want to have played a certain amount of minimum battles before we want to see this stuff here. And remember, this is all standard solo. There's no division stuff in here at all. So this means here we now have my solo win rate for these different cruisers here in standard battles. And it's very in line with what I thought. I always knew I was around 60 to 62% on average. And that's also what this says. I can see Albemarle is quite an outlier here at nearly 80% win rate, but that is because we only have 18 battles on that ship. So over time, that's going to even out, I think. Although the average damage is much higher on Albemarle than any of the other ships, perhaps except Atago B here is 81, 84. And other than that, it's between 75 and 85. So again, that's also very different from the overall stats, where I think mine says it's 63, when actually it's much higher than that. Average frags per ship, like Albemarle, we have 1.3 kills per game, more than 2 spots per game. That's pretty good for a cruiser. And you see here, Budioni is actually pretty powerful, 72% solo win rate here, and I have 57 battles. So, but anyway, I am not going to count anything here that has less than 400 battles, because I don't think that's statistically sound. So we're going to do this. And it's immediately obvious that Wichita has the highest solo win rate of 62% here, followed by Eugen, Martel, and Atago. So obviously this is very, very useful. You can do a lot of cool things here. But I'll just turn this down to one battle again, and then I am simply going to go in here and pick the ships that I want to see, the ones that I am interested in. And that would be Wichita, and that would be Albemarle as well. Let's just get that. I should have used a mouse for this. This is very annoying. I'm going to use Exeter as well. Don't care about that. And Charles Martel, I want to see that. And I want to see Hipper too. And I want to see Prince Eugen as well. And I want to see, no, I don't want to see Mogami. I hate that ship. And then I want to see the actual Atago here. And I want to see Atago B as well, because it's the same ship. Is that it? Is that all we want to see? I think so. So as you can see, you can do a lot of cool calculations here. Like, for example, I said before, I know how many shots I've fired and I know how much damage I've done. So pretty much by dividing those two, you can figure out how much damage you do per shot in your cruiser. And that's actually very useful. I actually see that Exeter does the most damage per shot. And like Wichita is actually the lowest, which is pretty surprising to me. While Hippo is actually also pretty high. I thought that would be the lowest one. So yeah, like a lot of insights you can get from here. And you can also see the survivability here. Let's just sort on that one. See, Albemarle is the highest, and Wichita and Atago are all pretty much the highest ones. The next one here is something I fiddle a little bit with, which is cap points. So it kind of means which of these cruisers I kept the most in. And it looks like actually Attack B, but not really enough battles to make this certain. But it's still an interesting thing. And of course, average frags here, let's have a look at that. Again, Albemarle in the lead with 1.3, then Martel 1.2, let's say that. And then Wichita with 1.2, and Otago with 1 point, almost 2. And Hipper at the bottom with not even 1, and that's not surprising. And it also has the lowest spots, and that's probably because it's so slow. It's hard for it to get in to the battle as the first. Although actually Eugen has higher, so don't really know what to think about that one. All right, let's look at average damage instead. That's always very interesting. And you can see Albemarle and Otago B are way ahead of the others. But really, Otago and Otago B is the same thing. And I think Otago is lower because I don't think I played any legendary battles with that ship. Only Otago B has been able to farm legendary ships. So that's why this is higher. And Albemarle is just a damage machine, so that's why it's so much higher. And I also see like a win rate of nearly 80%, and that's like, that'll even out over time. It'll be down around the low 60s, just like all the other cruisers pretty much. Because I've only had 18 battles, but I already said that. So if you look at something like Otago here with 2200, sitting just around 60%. Wichita 62, and I know another player who's done the math on this, and his Wichita solo standard win rate was 67, I think. Yeah, it's quite easy to figure out. It does take a little bit of like number wrangling and stuff like that, but it's not too bad. And of course, by changing the type down here, you can see your AI battles instead. AI is 2, by the way, but if you want to see that, it's not very interesting to me, but some people might get a kick out of that. But 3 is the really interesting part here for me. Now, I would love to show you the differences between solo play and division play, but unfortunately on this Hipper account here, I don't have a lot of division battles. As you can see, I could probably tell you exactly how many I have, but it's like 50 something like that. So it's not a big enough sample size to draw any conclusions from. But I have seen other players' stats in here, and I can tell you that division win rates are much, much higher than solo win rates. So it'll be interesting to see into someone's stats who has probably 50-50 solo and division battles. And yeah, I just need to find someone. So, and also I should probably mention here, I don't know if you can still do the data extract on Wargaming's website. It looks like it was kind of a little bit of an oversight on their part, and I don't know if they turned it off or they are redeveloping it or something like that, but I don't know if you can still do it, but if you can, you should go ahead and do it, I think. Okay, so that was a look into the inner workings of the game here, and I really hope they will implement these stats inside the game, so we don't have to go through this like kind of windy way to get around this problem here. So let's see what happens in the coming months, because I'm sure it'll be really annoying if every player wants to have a copy of their stats just to do this. So hopefully this can nudge Wargaming a little bit in the right direction. So I hope you enjoyed this little insight here, and I'll see you out there.